Here you go. One more time for everyone to hear.
It's like a porn. It's erotica.
Alan Moore
And the Lost Girls.
wrote a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Erotica.
Yeah, it's a philosophical porno in which Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, Wendy from Peter Pan, and Alice in Wonderland all hook up in a hotel on the eve of World War I. The books becomes edgier as the story progresses, beginning with softcore hookups and escalating to depict extreme taboos. Yeah. This guy was all over the place.
You know, he thinks he's like a wizard. I can't get my head around Alan Moore. I literally
Wizard Alan.
He is by definition kook. He is a kook.
I would love to meet him.
I would be kind of scared.
Well, in certain pictures, he is what I imagine Rasputin looked like.
That's one thing.
Well, especially when he has the big beard.
And his nails?
Does he have nails?
Yes.
And the whole magician thing. I'm like, what if he is?
Like he's actually fucking magic?
What if he's Rasputin?
Oh, fuck, dude.
They tried to kill him a lot.
Isn't like Rasputin's like genitals on display somewhere?
Weirdly sounds familiar.
Right?
They're like in a jar somewhere. Look what I got.
All right, let's get into this.
Oh, okay, cool. This is Tommy.
This is Jake.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape. I thought we were just like testing.
Nope.
Hi, everyone.
Yo! Hi. That was a weird relaxation sound.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I hope you all had a good week from last episode, or who knows, maybe you've taken a hiatus from us, and this movie's bringing you back. We don't know, but we do also want to quickly say, like, if you don't follow us on Instagram, give us a follow, like on Instagram, and all that stuff, because we could use more voices on there. I feel like, if you like us, comment on our shit, and if you don't follow us on Instagram, that is.
Gotta change this tab.
We also do more. Were you just staring at Lost Girls? Like,
no, it was.
Tommy's looking at porn.
No, it was a portrait of Alan Moore,
just staring at. Yeah, that will haunt you in your sleep.
And I couldn't stop staring into his eyes.
I was in
a trance.
On our Instagram, we also do we'll do reviews of video games, little mini tapes. If you guys don't follow us, I would recommend if you want, it's a little bit more content that Tommy and Jacob do. So
yeah, we do little mini reviews, and then also we do recommendations of themed sci-fi and horror and stuff like that. So you'll see top 5 lists of things that we recommend and everything.
Yeah,
so check it out.
But yeah, that's not what we're talking about this week. We are doing. Oh, what was our?
So we did our word generator thing again,
yes.
which we go online and hit a random word, and we got folklore.
Folklore.
So we tried to think of 2 movies that fit into that,
and we went a little different way. I don't know. I think I like where we went with it because what it is. But
it's a stretch.
When you say folklore, this really isn't the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's basically the random word is to kind of get the brain going.
Yeah.
And kind of think about what would be fun to do roughly in that.
But so we're doing the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I guess we'll fill with folklore since it's all it's characters based out in literature. There's a lore to them, so it's folklore.
Yeah.
It's British folklore from the 1800s and so forth. Ha!
Still a stretch.
It's not like what you would traditionally consider folklore, but it's folklore.
Yeah, but also
a folk of people have a lore.
A folk of people.
A folk of people have a lore, and you put it together, it's a folklore. Funny. All right. All right, so yeah, we're doing the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It was released July 11th, 2003 in the United States. This was actually an American produced film, wasn't it? That's why it's all fucking weird.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not very well reviewed, and I don't think it's going to get a very good review today as well. It's got a 5.8 on IMDb, a 17% tomato meter rating, 44% audience score, and 30% Metacritic. It's not good. This is not the lowest one we've done, I don't think.
No.
No. I think like maybe Johnny Mnemonic may have been lower.
No, there was another one.
Was there one that we did that was in the 4s?
Yeah, there's something not too long ago.
Oh, the next Karate Kid.
That's what it was.
That's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. Box office wise, it was number 44 domestically, and number 28 worldwide, which I think that's more like I think that was opening weekend kind of like had it like everyone was like excited to see it, and then everybody was like, oh, this isn't good. And it just stopped. Yeah, people stopped going to it.
Yeah, because it's very much a big, over-the-top American shoot-'em-up action popcorn movie kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a lot of
What
visual.
Name a trope, a comic book movie, early comic book movie, action hero trope.
Yeah,
It's in it.
Well,
It's
because
in
also
it.
this is for those because I was unaware of this. This is a comic book movie.
Yeah, it's based
And
off of a graphic novel.
Yeah, it's a big trope, but
It's really yeah. So
but even going into to just real like what you said too, it's like the budget was $78 million and it grossed worldwide $179.3 million. So
Yeah.
it made its money back in tenfold. Like,
Yeah.
so
but
cool.
it's like it made its money back in the weekend that it was open pretty much, I feel, and then people are just like, because there was a lot of excitement for it because Alan Moore, is super popular in the comic book world. Sean Connery is a very popular actor. And just like even like I feel like just like book nerd people that were like, oh, it's gonna have like all of these like characters from classic literature just together in one story. That sounds like an interesting idea, which 100% does. But then this happened, and how many movies did you have? Did you count?
Oh yes, I did. 86.
I had 55.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I've been killing it.
Because you got the 2000s.
Yeah,
man.
I'm like the 2000s. I think is gonna be my like time to shine kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Once we get into the 80s and the 90s,
I might be okay in the 90s.
The late 90s maybe. Yeah.
No, I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, 86.
Cool. What's your Tommy synopsis?
A Victorian-era suicide squad must stop terrorists from starting the First World War.
I like that a lot. I like.
Well,
that.
because
I like it a lot.
Well, because I also was like, apparently in an interview, Alan Moore, the writer of the comic book, wanted to do like a Justice League but Victorian era.
Yeah.
And then what kind of, especially in this movie, what kind of happened it kind of turned into more of a Suicide Squad because it's a lot of villains.
Yeah, well, even like
quote unquote,
all of the characters that he uses are more villains, but it's just the way that it's done in the comics. Did you read the synopsis of what the comics actually how it plays out?
No, but I'm also now thinking like maybe the Suicide Squad wasn't. Yeah, when did the Suicide Squad get created?
80s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like maybe the Suicide Squad wasn't around yet, so that's why he went to Justice
I want to
League.
say it might be the 90s, but I'm pretty sure. When did Harley Quinn start? When was Harley Quinn? Was Harley Quinn created in the 80s? I'm getting that confused.
Harley Quinn was created for the animated series. And then she became so popular,
That's right. Oh, that's right, because Harley Quinn wasn't in the original Suicide Squad. It was actually Rick Flag and that's okay. The history of Suicide Squad's coming back to me now. The Suicide Squad was the 80s. But Harley Quinn was not originally part of it.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was a rabbit hole. Okay. So yeah, I guess let's just get into the meat of it. Let's go into talk about the directors and writers and stuff.
Okay.
Because this was directed by Stephen Norrington, who has literally directed 4 movies. This movie, Blade.
Which I was like, really?
Yeah. Death Machine, which I've heard of with Brad Dourif. And The Last Minute, which I have no idea what that is.
I read the synopsis. I want to watch it.
Of The Last Minute?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember what it was either, but I was like, it's...
and piqued your interest?
Yeah, I was like, that sounds like it might be an interesting 90s watch.
He's more of like a makeup and special effects kind of guy, is what I noticed.
That's what I noticed too.
And he has like on his Wikipedia page, he has literally a section that's like Stephen Norrington projects that have been canceled or unfinished. Like it's just like nope, like just things just falling through. Like
Jeez.
just like it's like ever since like this movie, just like nothing has come to fruition for him. He was supposed to direct Blade 2, but decided not to, and that's how they got Guillermo del Toro.
That Blade 2 is like Blade's cool. Like Blade's a cool movie,
Right?
but Blade 2 is like
It's the main bad guy in Blade. What's his name? Stephen Dorff. Yeah, the actor.
yeah.
Apparently he still kind of talks with Stephen Norrington, and it was in 2018 or something. He said that like Norrington's like just cooped up in his house working on like a this like animation project, like not like a stop animation with like toys, and Steve Dorff was like, for what it's probably going to take him about 10 years to finish. Just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, because the second one's Del Toro, right?
Yeah, Blade 2 is Del Toro.
Yeah, and that oozes Del Toro.
Yeah. It's like it's so interesting. It's like I feel like Stephen Norrington he was just a body for producers for this movie.
But
like,
that's
be a director, just like.
It's weird though for having such a for being such a big thing with so many actors. 20th Century Fox picking somebody that didn't have a list of works to go off of was a very strange decision.
Did read that Sean Connery. He wanted so much. It's like he was paid $18 million or something for this.
Yeah,
which left a very small budget for them to like hire like other like substantial like casting and like big name people. So they probably like Sean Connery was probably the name attached to this project. That was like that's why it's the green light. Sean Connery wants to do this.
Yeah,
and then they're like, well, fuck, who's a cheap director, who's not very popular in acting right now.
Yeah, it's just weird. Also, because it's like not to
because like honestly, Sean Connery's name carried this movie. Like his name for me was why I went to see it.
Well, because even then, not to like discredit the other actors and everything in it, but at the same time, it's like he is the big name in it.
Yeah.
A lot of these other people you'll know and recognize from stuff, but they weren't huge names in the 2000s
or at all, really. And like, they're still not even like Stuart Townsend might be the next biggest name. Maybe what's her name? Peter Wilson.
Yeah, I would say, but even like Peter Wilson and Stuart Townsend are almost like culty.
Yeah.
You know, like if you really liked Nikita, if you like Queen of the Damned, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, kind of it.
So, yeah, just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
So Stephen Norrington, kind of like, I mean, well, let's see what happens. Let's see what...
Stephen, right?
I don't know. I always say Stephen like that.
That's one of those ones. Okay.
I would actually have to hear him say like how he wants it pronounced.
Yeah.
Because isn't Stefan? I mean, Steve, like VPHF. I mean, if you got an F, that's definitely Stefan.
I've never seen it spelled with an F. Anyways, whatever. Move on. We got a lot to cover.
All right, let's go to writers next, and let's do James Robinson, who did the screenplay, and then we'll finish it off with who actually wrote the Okay. So James Robinson. He wrote the screenplay for it. Most notable, I noticed, for movie screenplays that he's done was Son of Batman, which is an animated Batman movie. Comic Book Villains, which was a movie I forgot existed.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I think I saw it once when I was in high school.
I remember seeing it once.
And that's about it. And then he's also a regular writer. It seems like a regular writer on the newer show Stargirl. But he's more known for actually just being a comic book writer.
I did not.
Yeah, he's been writing comics since like the 80s, 89, 90s.
Anything worthwhile that you saw?
I looked through the list. It's just like he's just kind of like a throw-on writer. Like he just recently did like a huge arc with Wonder Woman. But to be honest with you, after seeing the quality of this movie, I don't know if I want to read anything that he's written. Because like even like Son of Batman, like I think he's like one of the writers for Son of Batman. The screenplay for that animated movie is not that good. That's when Batman's discovering who Damian Wayans is.
Yeah, is that with the whole Court of Owls thing?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
No, you're not. No. No, it's the League of Shadows. It's all just League of Shadows shit.
Yeah, the Talons one is Batman versus Robin.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
And that's when Talon like kind of corrupts Damian.
Oh, interesting.
And uses that whole killing instinct that he has. Like you're like Damian, you're right. Bruce is wrong, and then
But yeah, so James Robinson, he's credited as the screenplay writer. So I'm pretty sure what he did is he just like
He adapted it for the screen.
He adapted it, yeah, but like he also did not do a good job. I don't know. It's like I wanted to find more information on like writing conflicts. Like maybe Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill were originally on board to like do more of it, and they just decided not to. But the way that they just kind of separated themselves was like very interesting, and like I kind of feel like James Robinson. I don't know. I feel like there's just like there's a lot of studio like hands put into this movie. I feel.
Well, yeah, and there was like something about there's a like some kind of lawsuit that was kind of happening in the midst of all this too. From
with Alan Moore for V for Vendetta, or
no, for two. There's another movie that was pitched to 20th Century called Cast of Characters, which had a similar concept.
Yeah, that's right.
And they didn't greenlight it, and then like the writer and the producer of that like came in and was like, "This is basically our movie."
Yeah.
And you're using it as like a smoke screen to not give us credit where credit's due. And
Alan Moore was kind of like, no.
Well, because Alan Moore wasn't really involved in
No,
that.
but he wanted to have his name cleared because with his name attached to the project, then it would look like that he was stealing somebody else's property. But they got settled out of court, so he wasn't able to testify and prove like, no, I've been writing this stuff since then. There's no connection with this project that I've never heard of.
Yeah, and
he wanted to clear his name, and he never got. Dude, Alan Moore has a lot of lawsuits. Like he has a lot of like history with like court stuff. It's
and then
very weird.
20th Century Fox just ended up settling, and that was
they
kind
settled
of
out of court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a lawsuit happened, but it didn't turn to this big drama spectacle. It just kind of went quietly on into the night, you know.
So let's go into who actually like were the creators of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Which let's just quickly. It's like Kevin O'Neill. He's given story credit because he was the comic book illustrator and working with if you're an author working with illustrators, like you guys kind of like go hand in hand on like fleshing out the characters and stuff and whatnot. I forgot to look up what else Kevin O'Neill has like done. I feel like he's done some Batman.
The three main ones are like Martial Law, Judge Dredd, and Nemesis the Warlock, which if any of I was honest going to say like 80s, 90s kids out there, if any of those sound familiar, look them up, like comic book wise, because then you'll be like, for me, it was like this deep-seated memory, like Nemesis the Warlock. I was like, I remember that. I can't tell you anything about it, but the art style and the look of Nemesis, and then also Martial Law.
None of these are ringing a bell for me, so
it was like a fever dream kind of thing again. I was like,
yeah.
I've seen these guys before. I've seen them in like scenes.
I wonder if I would see like some like
panels
of it. I'd be like, oh yeah, I've totally seen that, but just wouldn't recognize it. But yeah, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Alan Moore, who we already kind of heard us talk a little bit about. So Alan Moore, his filmography, like I think it's him. He's had the most graphic novels, I feel, turned to movies. I think Frank Miller might be the next. And that's kind of like all I'm really thinking about, like for big.
Well,
like,
because with Frank Miller, what you have 300, you have Sin City.
You can argue The Dark Knight. There's so much inspiration out of it. I mean, I guess inspired, but not. I don't know, because he's not credited for writing through The Dark Knight. It is just Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, that's Nolan. It's like, yeah, that's such a stretch. Because even then, if you go to the Justice League movie, there's a lot of like Bat flick. There's a lot of
Frank Miller-esque.
He's older, he's gruffer, he's bigger. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's like, yeah, you might have taken ideas from it, but I'm gonna say that's only. Well, what is The Spirit? Was that a Frank Miller adaptation?
I don't think so.
Or they just went, oh, it worked really well for Sin City.
Oh, and it worked really, and it's still kind of cool with 300. Let's do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Actually,
Sky Captain of the World of Tomorrow. Oh, let's do the same thing.
I don't know enough about The Spirit.
Neither do I.
That's what it was called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so Alan Moore, though, graphic novels that he has written that have been turned into movies is this one, then From Hell, which I always forget was actually originally a graphic novel.
I don't mind that adaptation. I know
I've never read the. I've never. So the only thing I've ever read by Alan Moore is The Killing Joke.
You never read Watchmen, V for Vendetta?
Mm-mm.
Really?
Watchmen's fucking long as hell. I want to. I've talked to you about borrowing your Watchmen series, but
I have all of them.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I don't know. Even when you brought up like Alan Moore, and I was like, for some reason that name's not ringing a bell. You're like, really? And then I went and looked at my comic book collection, and I was like, I actually have a lot of Alan Moore on my shelf.
Yeah. So from V for Vendetta, he wrote Watchmen and The Killing Joke, and yeah, The Killing Joke is the only one that I've read.
Batman: The Killing Joke, just to be clear.
Yeah. Is there a other thing called The Killing Joke?
I don't know. Very, very possibly.
That's fair. Yeah. And
Swamp Thing, Marvel Man,
but I guess
Promethea.
I didn't really think about because there's the Swamp Thing movie that got created, but I feel like does he get credited as a story for that, or maybe character created by?
Like a Bob Kane kind of situation.
Yeah, it's like the movie is like so separated from what the comics.
I was thinking
are.
maybe the show.
Yeah, that's fair.
The newer show.
Yeah, he probably got.
It came out 4 years ago or whatever it was.
That was canceled. Oh God, that was actually really fun though.
That was a good show. That was cool.
Yeah, he's had a lot of things. A lot of things that he's created has turned media.
Well, it's also funny because of this, like kind of like Jacob was saying too, because of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. If you watch From Hell, V for Vendetta, or Watchmen, I don't know about From Hell. I know for V for Vendetta and Watchmen. I can't remember From Hell. His name doesn't show up anywhere.
Yeah, well, he wanted his name removed from V for Vendetta because he felt like they took too much liberty on changing the comics from like his original point of view. Because like guy in the I don't want to misquote what it is, but there's the views that Guy has, they kind of shifted like from one side to the other. Like they did like a 180. I don't know. Because I think they made him seem more like a terrorist in the films. And that's not what Alan Moore's vision was originally, I think. Something like that. Don't fully quote me on that. I know there's like something about that because I've also never read the comic, so I can't fully like go into it.
Yeah, it's one of those. I read it once. I have to read it again.
Mm-hmm. But Alan Moore is just a fucking weird dude.
Occultist, ceremonial magician, and anarchist.
Yeah.
Which, once you think of those three things, occultist, ceremonial magician, and anarchist, every single one of his titles makes sense. You're like, oh,
yeah.
Totally. Got it.
There's literally on his Wikipedia, in personal life, these are like the topics, religion and magic. Because those go hand in hand perfectly. It's so strange.
What do you mean?
Well, don't give me...
Okay, all right.
More openly declared his dedication to being a ceremonial magician, which ceremonial magicians encompasses a wide variety of rituals of magic that the works included, characterized by ceremony and numerous requisite accessories to aid the practitioner. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like bones.
He believes in monotheism. Or no, he says monotheism is to me a great simplification. He believes in he believes in multiple gods and whatnot. And
he's got a cool take on conspiracy theories.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I would love to meet him. I think he'd be really intense. That's the thing.
He looks it's like if you look at pictures of him, he looks like he's a fucking out of his mind.
I feel like he's either one of the two. He's either super intense or he's really laid back, and it's like he keeps it all like really in his head.
Yeah.
Or is really like, listen here, like, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
What is it? The truth is that it is not the Jewish banking conspiracy or the gray aliens or the 12-foot reptiloids from another dimension that are in control. The truth is far more frightening. No one is controlled. The world is rudderless. That is a quote from him.
That's what I was talking about. His idea about conspiracy theories is really kind of cool.
Well, that's the man who wrote this book, or this graphic novel. And I guess maybe we do the actors first, and then then we'll do the reviews. Then we'll kind of talk about the differences between the graphic novel and the book. Yeah. Like we were saying earlier, this movie is pretty much led by Sean Connery. He is the leading actor. He plays Alan Quartermain, who is from the book King Solomon's Mine. Oh, I guess really quick, did we bring up that this is a collection of Victorian era characters?
Not in like great detail, but yes.
Yeah, so
you did mention that.
I feel like maybe let's just start with that because also when we do each actor, let's also say who they are.
Okay.
The whole idea of this story is that it's Victorian era characters from literature that are asked to band together to Oh, yeah, to prevent the fucking to stop World War I from happening is what the movie is.
Yeah.
So, I guess we kind of did bring that up. I think the literary characters, I don't think was kind of like the...
And this is, takes place at the turn of the century, so it's 1899.
Yes.
So the idea of World War has not even really...
come on people's minds. It's still a terrifying, like, it could happen, maybe. And now we're on World War III.
Yeah. Like...
Fuck. All right. So Sean Connery, I just kind of put down, that he's 007, James Bond, the original 60s, The Rock, Highlander. He's the voice of the dragon and Dragonheart.
That's
about what you put too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Untouchables. That's kind of it.
Yeah. This movie was his last movie he ever decided to do a live action role in, and decided to quit acting after this movie, as he quoted said, "So many people were just idiots running." Like, oh god, where is it?
Like something along the lines of like, I got a new insight onto the showbiz and got tired of dealing with idiots.
Yeah, pretty much. Where is it? Connery claimed that the film's production quality, it was a nightmare. The experience had a great influence on me. It made me think about showbiz. I got fed up dealing with idiots. Yeah. And there's it. Yeah. And it's like, that's sad.
And apparently the director, Mr. Connery, who passed away in 2020.
Yep.
Which I cannot believe that. I just didn't realize he stopped acting in 2003. It just didn't register until I read that. Got into like huge screaming matches, like on set all the time.
Wow.
And there's like one specifically that I love where there's like a ensemble scene where they're walking down the road, and then he like, apparently according to an quote, like the person that said this didn't want to put their name down, but it was someone on set, like production or whatever, said that he like whipped around allegedly and yelled at the director, "I'm going to guess you're going to want us to do that take again." And then the director responded with, "For $18 million, I expect you to. And we can't."
Holy shit.
And then in the quote, like he's like, "And I can't tell you what Sean Connery said because you can't print it."
Wow.
So apparently, I'm assuming he's like, "Listen here, you motherfucker." That's I'm assuming is how it went down.
Woo!
So apparently there was a lot of hostility between the two. Allegedly.
Fair. Yeah, so let's follow your list today.
I just did the list that IMDb did.
I think I kind of did that. I don't know. So I'm going to let you. I don't know what I changed and what I did because I have it different than my regular format.
Next on the list would be Nasiruddin
San.
Okay. Who is an Indian actor.
Oh, it's Shah. I spelled what?
What? Oh yeah.
Oh, it's Shah. I don't know why I spelled his name. I spelled his name just wrong.
Okay, so yeah,
on my list, it's
okay,
Shah.
so I was like, Nasiruddin Shah. He is a pretty like famous Indian actor. I didn't really recognize him from anything because I haven't really seen enough Indian films.
Even like looking through the list on like what American films he's been in, it's a very short list, and this was probably his biggest film for American cinema.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at his list, he has like 260, 280, something like that.
Fucking Indian people put out movies, dude.
But so he has a lot, and apparently too, during production, another alleged story, they went to an Indian restaurant and the owner recognized him and then like took them to their best table and was calling him by his first name.
Oh, that's really
and
cool.
Like served the crew and everything. So I guess he has a big
following. For how big his list is, he's got to be in like. Also, just thinking about how Hollywood works, yeah, of course they get the top Indian actor to play an Indian character in this,
well, yeah, and it's kind of what's interesting too about this cast list. It's people from all over the place, which was kind of cool. I was like, oh look, it's like a very like kind of American stylized movie.
It's either they're British or Australian or they're either
Scottish, Irish, British.
So either Western European or Australian.
Yeah,
and then the one American. One.
So yeah. That's Oh, and he plays Captain Nemo.
He plays Captain Nemo. If you're not familiar with Captain Nemo, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Why did that? Did I say that right?
Yeah, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I thought there was something else. Anyway.
Then we had Peter Wilson, who plays Meena Harker. The only thing I really remember is La Femme Nikita. And she's in Superman Returns, which I don't remember her being in.
I think it's a very small role, but La Femme Nikita. She was the lead of the show, because there was the early
She's
90s.
Nikita, yeah.
There was the early 90s like movie.
Yeah.
That then they decided to take the idea of that and turn it into a show. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, that's, I mean, and then, if you Meena William, she's from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, she
Or
is.
Dracula.
She is the woman that Dracula is obsessing over as being like the reincarnation of his lover and whatever. Up next we had Tony Curran,
Yes.
who 13th Warrior.
Yeah.
Every couple episodes that movie comes up.
Dude, I think you're just in your mind, you're thinking it. It's like, or you're just seeing the word warrior. I don't know. Like
13th Warrior's come up a few times. Like, just saying, I really want to do that movie. That would have been a good one for folklore.
Actually, yeah.
That would have been really good. That would actually have been a little more like topical. Not topical, you know what I mean. You might recognize him from probably Underworld 2.
Underworld Evolution.
Which is the second one. He plays Marcus. He's the vampire hybrid, the one with the wings.
Yeah. And then if you're a Doctor Who fan, you would recognize him as playing Van Gogh in the Van Gogh episode.
And then if you're a Deadwood fan, he's in the Deadwood movie.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So that's him. He plays Skinner, Rodney Skinner, which was the take of the Invisible Man, because every one of these characters is public domain except for the Invisible Man. Mm-hmm. So they changed him to a Invisible Man.
An Invisible Man.
Yeah, an Invisible Man who basically is a thief that got hold of the doctor's formula to become invisible, and he's a cat burglar, and he uses his invisibility to steal shit. Yeah. So he's the more loosey-goosey of like... He's the... No, okay, let me rephrase that. He's the beginning of the loosey-goosiness of this ensemble.
Yeah, there you go. He's kind of the comic relief.
Yeah.
Who do you got next on there?
Stuart Townsend, who plays Dorian Gray from...
The Picture of Dorian Gray, by Oscar Wilde.
Probably you would notice him or remember him from Queen of the Damned. He plays Lestat. Mm-hmm.
The other only movie I think I've seen him in is Shade.
Never seen Shade. I did write down Eon Flux, and I laughed because I was like, Eon Flux, I don't remember him being in that movie.
He's also uncredited, and so it's probably got to be like a small role.
No, because I did that fucking thing we talked about. I was thinking of Ultraviolet.
Oh. You were thinking of Ultraviolet?
Yeah, remember that?
So you were thinking back to Ultraviolet?
He's not fucking in that.
That's funny.
We did a review of Ultraviolet, and we found that there was this huge, like, Mandela... what is it?
It's not a Mandela effect. But it's just a complete mix of the two. Yeah,
but listen to that episode. We talk about that because there's this, like, weird thing where people were splicing and...
Because, I mean, it's kind of like... It's like they're so similar that they they were so just like not very like popular, like they didn't like get huge like box office or anything, that people just kind of like melded them together. Just like, let's say if Armageddon and Deep Impact didn't like pop, like weren't super popular, people would think they're the same fucking movie.
Yeah, no, totally. And I did it, and we did a review on one of them. And he also directed a movie called Battle in Seattle.
Yeah, it seems to come up on my feed every once in a while, and I always kind of forget about it. I'm like, I should watch that.
I want to watch that.
I'm curious about it.
Yeah, I'm curious about it too.
So I'm guessing next you have Shane West.
I have Shane West.
Okay,
next.
so I'm seeing how I know a pattern I did here. And Shane West, A Walk to Remember with Mandy Moore. Oh no, he plays. Oh, sorry, really quick. He plays Thomas Sawyer from. Oh, who wrote that? Hemingway?
Twain.
Was that Mark Twain? Thank you.
Yeah, Twain.
I was like, what? Okay, yeah.
American.
Oh yeah, but is Hemingway American? Hemingway's American, isn't he?
Is he?
No, he's not.
I don't think he is.
No. Yeah, Mark Twain. And then Shane West also Dracula 2000 was the other thing that I was like, maybe
he was on ER for a minute.
It's kind of weird as we're going through this. I'm just like, and this guy and this person, and they're kind of in that. So do you got Jason Fleming next?
Jason Fleming, from Hell, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like he has 139 acting credits.
He's hardcore one of those. You've seen him in a lot of shit. You'll recognize his face. I really feel like.
And the biggest one that I was like, I remember him in Snatch more than anything, as Brad Pitt's brother or cousin or what? Yeah, one of them. But that's and kind of this movie like.
Right, he's one of the people of Roma. He's one of them.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot about that. I couldn't place who he was in that.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm recognizing. And then it's weird. It's like I kind of do I remember him in like not Jackass, but Kick Ass. And like just looking through his list, I'm like, oh, I've seen that movie. Oh, I kind of remember when that. Oh, I've seen. Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, another funny kind of going back into TJ mixtape history too. He's in Mean Machine.
Mean Machine. Oh, the one that you were talking about you wanted to do.
No, the UK the
UK like the UK Longest Yard
replacements.
Other replacements. Thank you. Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of cool. And then I just wrote down too Iron Mask. Because you asked me about that movie.
Iron Mask?
The Iron Mask. Like, did you know there was a movie not too long ago with Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh,
That's what it is. It's Iron Mask. He's in that.
Jesus Christ.
And then the last one, what I put was...
Richard Roxburgh.
Yeah. Who was in Van Helsing. Oh, he plays M, who's like the secret agent leader guy.
Do you know what he's from?
M?
Yeah.
James Bond?
Nope.
No, I meant the M, his character. No?
Not from James Bond.
What is that? That's what they call.
He's Professor James Moriarty.
Yeah, no, but the M thing is I think a reference to like James Bond.
No, because his name is James.
Yeah, but I know, but the M.
All right, when we go into talking about
I know all that.
Yeah, I know, but like that it's all a throw off. It's all a distraction. Also, when we go into like talking about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, his character comes up. He is a character in the comics.
Okay, I thought the M thing was a James Bond.
I thought that at first too,
because I know the Moriarty thing, but like
but no, like his name is James. No, I was like, oh my god, and he's supposed to be the bad guy.
I know, but the M thing.
I don't think they could get rights to saying Moriarty, so they did
say Moriarty
in the movie.
Yeah.
They win
at the end when you find out he's Moriarty. When he's like when
I didn't hear them actually say Moriarty.
Yeah, they did.
Well, then why are you saying James Bond?
Because M is the caretaker of the 007 program.
Yeah, but that's not the book that he's from. He's from Sherlock Holmes.
He's like 3 different characters in this movie. I'm saying the first one you meet M, who is the leader of who's supposed to be like the bringer together of the league.
And I see because it's like it's the wolf in sheep's clothing thing.
Yeah, that character M, I was like, that's like feels like a James Bond reference.
Like they're making.
Then there's the Phantom, which is the Phantom of the
swerve. They're throwing a swerve at us.
Yeah. Then there's the Phantom of the Opera reference, and then there's the Sherlock Holmes reference.
I didn't really get the Phantom of the Opera. Now that I see it, you say because
he's called the Phantom, and he wears a half mask.
Yeah. I didn't actually put that one together.
That's what he's like 3 different characters. So I think
so weird.
Because I mean, do they call him M in the comics?
Actually, in the comics, he's very small in it. Like he's not even that big of a character.
So they got I don't know. That's what I mean. That I didn't get any. That's just what I thought. I was like,
that's really amusing that they actually decided to like. Well, when we get into it as well, we'll talk about that. But you would recognize him from like you said, Van Helsing.
Did I say that?
Yeah,
we went on such a tangent.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, he's Dracula in Van Helsing.
And then I remember him in the Moulin Rouge.
And then he's in this show called Rake, which I really want to watch. I added it to our watch list. It's like a dramedy comedy about him being a lawyer in the UK that tries to get people, like the most terrible people off, like cannibals and shit. It's a very dark, dry British comedy that sounds really great, and it's streaming on Amazon Prime.
Nice. I do want to point out, oddly enough, in this cast, there are 4 characters or 4 actors that have been in either previously or had at some point have been in a movie that's surrounding with vampires or have been a vampire. And there's Peta Wilson who's playing a vampire in this. I don't know. There was like a weird like connection with all that.
So there's Peta, there's Tony, there's Stuart. Oh, and then Richard.
And Shane West is in Dracula 2000.
Oh, so there's 5.
Yeah. I said 4 including on top of Peta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just like, isn't that weird?
That is kind of weird.
I was like, why is like there a weird vampire theme going on with this cast?
Interesting. Yeah. Huh. I didn't notice that.
Well, so what do you got for reviews?
This is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, here it comes.
So on Metacritic, 3 positive, 13 mixed, 20 negative.
There's actually positive.
There are 3 of them. Let's see. Okay. Colin Levy from the Wall Street Journal succeeds the same way the original comic books did, by making the conflicts and dilemmas basic enough for a 5-year-old while giving the heroes and villains glamorous outfits and layers of complexity to thicken the broth. And
Sure.
I picked that one because that was an 80 out of 100. I was like, well, let's see what the most positive thing we can like get out of this. And even that wasn't very positive because it was kind of like a backhanded compliment to the comic books.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay. And then actually, I'm just going to have to read them from here. Todd McCarthy at Variety. Robinson's script is alive to the material's literary roots, although there's a sense that the brakes have been applied so as to not push into territory perceived as too esoteric for American teenagers.
Sure, that's the problem with this movie.
Okay, and then the very bad one, 10 out of 100. The Stephen Hunter, The Washington Post. It's not brazenly bad or heroically bad or stridently bad. It's bad in all old, dull ways of being bad. Poor performances, absurd story, jury special effects, witless dialogue, and the excessive length of someone taking himself far too seriously.
Oh my God! We have a winner, everybody. That is 100% this movie. Oh God. I couldn't think of words. I was just sitting there, like I all I literally wrote was the most basic comic tropes to come to screen, and then constant one-liners. I guess I was like, what? It's like, yeah, witless dialogue. That's the best. That's what I was trying to find, and yeah, there's just no substance to this movie. It's like it's a movie that could have some cool substance. This is a cool idea. You know,
this goes back into that conversation that this would be a really cool, do the Umbrella Academy effect on it, like for Netflix.
Yeah. So, okay, just so we can kind of get, like, you and I can start with a dialect here on, like, where this movie, like, what was so fucking crazy with it. Let me read what the plot of the actual graphic novel was.
Cool.
This is just like, it's a little bit long. It's not super long. So, but yeah. So the year is 1898, and Meena Murray is recruited by Companion Bond, who I think is an actual character. Yeah, he's an original character for the book. On behalf of the British intelligence, and asked to assemble a league of other extraordinary individuals to protect the interests of the Empire. Captain Nemo, Alan Quartermain, Dr. Jekyll, and Holly Griffin the Invisible Man. They help stop a gang war between Fu Manchu and Professor Moriarty, nemesis of Sherlock Holmes. Following this, they take part in the events of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds. Two members of the League, Meena and Quartermain, achieve immortality and are next seen in an adventure in 1958. This follows events that take place after the fall of the Big Brother government from 1984. Following this, Meena and Alan team up with fellow immortal Orlando and are shown in the adventure which spans a century from 1910 to 2000, concerning a plot by evil magicians to create a moon child that might well turn out to be the anarchist. Then it goes into so now we're going to like when the later series goes, but the movie itself follows kind of like more of like the latter half of what I was just reading there. Like, I think what the inspiration for this movie was that whole, like, to help stop a gang war between Fu Manchu and Professor Moriarty.
And real quick, Companion Bond is the ancestor of James Bond.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, so it's an original character
that's supposed
for
to be
the books, but it's like, but because
the
it's
great-grandfather
on behalf of the British intelligence, the British intelligence being MI6,
and M is always like the spokesperson for MI6.
Yeah. So to begin with, what we have here to really like make this like separation of like where this movie just started to go downhill is Meena Murray is asked to assemble these people, not Quartermain.
Yeah.
And how Quartermain immediately sees Meena and is like, I'm not letting a woman fucking tell me what, like, be a part of my shit.
I must issue them as a distraction.
It's like, fuck, dude. Like, oh my God. I'm gonna have a really hard time talking about this movie because I was actually very uninterested through most of it. It was
all the dialogue with her and everyone else was pretty brutal.
It was all oddly sexual. in a lot of ways. Like,
if you weren't aware, she's a woman.
Yeah.
Did you know that she's a woman?
right?
She's a woman. Like, we got it. We get it.
She's a little out of your league, you think?
Everyone wants to bone her, except for me.
I do want to point out,
But
actually,
she's a distraction.
very, very. This is a very interesting thing I noticed, and I think this is very funny for marketing. In the entire movie, she doesn't really have her chest isn't showing, like not even like her like a low neckline or anything. Like she's very covered. You know, if you can recall.
No, yeah, no, but I was also like just her whole transformation into vampire lady was
yeah.
funny.
But no, what I'm pointing out is like throughout the entire movie, that she's not showing any type of like chest or cleavage or anything, and then. You look at the poster for the movie, all of a sudden she's got this cleavage in her like neck, like whole like
oh yeah, I see that.
it's like for marketing to like
Boobies.
show the boobies, but she's none of that in the movie. I was like, it's like very clear, like this movie is very 2003.
Yeah.
So to begin with that story, so they did like. Luckily, they chose to take Fu Manchu out of the movie, and I think that's where Dorian Gray became the character that they decided to add, because and then there was also like for the adding of Tom Sawyer, there was what is that I said it's like one of the producers like thought it like at first was like. What a stupid idea to be put into it, and then like what is it? Movie producer Don Murphy initially dismissed it as a stupid studio note, but later described it as brilliant.
Well, I was reading too that they like they were worried that American audiences wouldn't be these all being like English rooted.
These are fucking like world popular goddamn stories. I feel
stupid illiterate Americans aren't gonna.
Yeah,
but
like,
then I was
God,
like, well,
damn,
great. But then why Tom Sawyer like as a secret agent? I don't know. That was just funny. This is Jacob and I were talking about this movie off mic the other night, and he brought up like so and so Tom Sawyer, and I went. Tom Sawyer's not in this. He's like, yeah, he is. I'm like, no, he's not. And he's like, no, the American dude. I was like, oh, the secret agent guy. He's like, yeah, that's Tom Sawyer. I went, get the fuck out of here. I didn't even, and I've seen this movie a couple times. I probably saw this when it came out. Like I knew all the other references more than I knew Tom Sawyer.
It's fucking hilarious.
I was like, oh, okay.
So this movie just like it's just bad. it's the way it's like the story unfolds in such a like very like formulaic way that it has like zero heart or soul. And like as we like these characters get introduced, it's like literally like, oh yeah, she's clearly the one woman, so we're gonna make the woman jokes. Oh, the Invisible Man, well he's naked, we'll make naked jokes. The young boy Tom Sawyer, he's gonna now be like the young protege to Quartermain because Quartermain lost his son. Dorian Gray, he's clearly going to be the one that is this like turn that has the turn.
Well, then it's like the Tom Sawyer. It's like he's the only American, so let's make American jokes about he doesn't
have the patience.
Yeah, doesn't have patience for shooting, so you just
that's a very American way of shooting.
Spray and pray.
Yeah.
Dorian Gray is also kind of like this, also kind of overly sexual. Flamboyant like character, so that's all his lines.
It's very actually Dorian Gray is very fitting to how he's like in the books.
But like just like what are you? I'm complicated. I'm like shut up. Whatever. I'm not gonna go on.
It's so bad.
I'm gonna stop myself.
Oh.
I thought I'd get to nail you one more time. I didn't think literally. Like get the fuck out of here.
It's like James Robinson, writer of comic books. Why?
And terrible one-liners, apparently.
I guess we could just walk through this movie.
Yeah. So it all started in 1899.
Yeah. So the very first thing is this. It's so tropey. There's like clearly bad guy driving through like big tank is driving to steal something out of a bank. And it's like since 1899, tanks don't exist yet.
I was thinking how funny that would be for these poor cops chasing it. Like, what the fuck is
Dude,
that?
fucking cop just standing there like with his hand. No, I was like, all I could think about was Austin Powers. And it's like Austin Powers came out before this. And Austin Powers was making that joke about, it's like, you.
Holy shit. And that was no, let me do it.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I can't remember his name. Stewart, but I can't remember the actor's name.
I can't remember the actor's name either.
No. Yeah. Like you literally just did what was a joke 2 years prior. Like 4 years prior. Like, God damn. And like you get really quickly introduced to the flamboyant bad guy who has this like also, did you notice very quickly his ring, the insignia on his ring with like a project,
the Mason.
Is that that is the Freemason?
That's the Freemason logo.
Okay.
And then you get to the office and the doors are covered with Mason things. Actually, that was kind of cool. I was like,
well, this is clearly.
Yeah. Like I liked, because also it's like when you have that kind of stuff throughout the movie, it makes it at least been like it was thought of. It wasn't like a last minute like
like the set,
we had an end goal,
like the set designer, like the art team, like they did. But I feel like I like that, but I don't like it. Like I feel like it was like super like it was way too obvious for me. I was like, I like a little bit more subtler. Like if there was like maybe
totally, but for this kind of for what this is, I was just like the fact they put that kind of thought in it at all. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, all right, there's your first little clue on who is the actual Phantom. And like we were saying too, the Phantom is this cloak-wearing, armor-plated, big, like man with long, straggly black hair and like a silver mask that's covering some kind of burn scarring thing. And he's got this voice. And then they get into the bank and a bunch of German soldiers, essentially, or German people, I guess, more than anything. Well, no, but even then too, it's interesting. Well, and that's another thing. Kind of, I actually enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would.
Really?
Watching, for what it was, I very much took it as like just a popcorn, like whatever. But even like they get out and they are all speaking German, and he says, "Kill them all, but leave one alive to spread the tale," because he wants to spread fear, but he also wants to spread the misinformation that they're German to make them the world blame Germany. Yeah, it's like cool, like that makes sense.
Very British. Sorry.
But I was like, oh, cool. That's a cool little like level of espionage kind of like thing where
It's like some of the like finer details of this movie are well thought out. It's just the execution of
as a whole, it's terrible.
Everything was just bad. Yeah.
But yeah.
I guess so. Like we get our introduction to the bad guy, which it's very trope like comic book movie thing is like you meet the bad guy, you get the threat before you meet the hero. So then you know what the hero's gonna be up against. And then you can like size him up, you know?
Yeah.
And we get introduced to Quartermain, Sean Connery, which is kind of a goofy introduction of like first it's one other guy and then like Quartermain's like, oh no, it's me actually.
The Empire needs you, yes, but I need the Empire. Yeah. I liked that. See, that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I kind of enjoyed the tropes, especially. It might be what it is too, is that right now we're in this era of superhero movies taking themselves incredibly, they're dark and like a lot of time taking themselves seriously.
Yeah.
But this is like,
this movie was taking itself seriously.
Yeah,
doing all of that.
I know, but it's so
it just turned into a groan after a while. It's like you do it like if you have like a nod to it a little bit every now and then, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. But this movie is just like,
let me put it this way,
fucking time.
I think, and I remember too. Before we watched it for this episode, I did watch it just at home one day, like put it on as background noise as I was doing stuff, and I ended up turning it off. Yeah, because I was like, I don't care anymore. But I do remember. I remember watching it this time. The beginning of this movie, the setup is fine. It's when you start actually getting into the middle part that I'm like, now once you get to the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, that's where I really think it starts to really fall apart.
Fair.
In a lot of ways, and also it's like even their dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just like that's when I remember that's the moment. I remember that's when I turned it off. Is when they catch Mr. Hyde and there's that whole conversation. I'm done. But it's like the beginning of this movie. I'm like, actually, this is more enjoyable than I like remembered it being, and then it started to kind of lose me hard until like the very, very last act.
I mean, I feel like it just wasn't that good, and then when it got to the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde part, I'm like, and now this is just really bad. You know,
Teach
it's like,
their own.
no, I mean, you're right. Like there is like a level of like consistency, and then it just drops.
There's like a level of thought
Yeah.
to it. You're like, okay, all right, this is where we're going, and then you're like, there's so many moments I would just start laughing, and my partner would be like,
all of the fucking fight scenes in it too are just they're so like maybe it's because of the time, and like American fight scenes I never really noticed for a long time. Like the choreography are just so they're not exciting. Like then there's a lot of like lack of attention to detail for some of them. Like if you remember, like in the movie Spawn, like he like jumps off this like balcony and is just shooting doing a front flip, shooting in no particular direction, but it's just like, oh, but it's cool because it's Spawn doing a front flip and shooting his Uzis, but like he's not hitting anybody or anything. And this movie has a better like attention to detail than that does, but the fight scenes just aren't all that exciting. I feel like it's just like quick camera flashes of like quick movement, and whatnot.
well, and then did that classic like, oh, the bad guys are like stormtroopers. They're all like, I'm like, oh, good, all the bad guys are terrible at their job.
Yeah,
Like
it's like
your one job is to kill these people.
It's
and
like
you can't do
Quartermain
it.
like runs 15 feet with a goddamn automatic rifle being shot at him.
That's what killed me, because in this movie, I think Sean Connery is like 71. I'm like, there's no way that dude moves that fast. Like,
Oh
it's like,
no!
pew!
No, it's actually what's really funny is like if you're paying it really close attention and you see him turn to run, you see slow Sean Connery, and then it cuts, and then it's all of a sudden,
He's like,
and then
Roadrunner.
it cuts back, and you see just like a very like stiff jump from Sean Connery. It's just like that was clearly not you running there, buddy.
It was good. But yeah, sorry, but yeah, there's this whole like you meet this like Quartermain has like this little like, and then it goes into it has this little like deterrent because he's an adventurer, and
Also, why the fuck are the Germans coming after Quartermain all of a sudden? Like, how do they? Oh, yeah, it's all set up. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay,
because I need to get him to do the thing to get the hide to get
yeah,
the
yeah,
sample.
yeah. Okay, now I was like,
That's what I'm saying though.
oh yeah,
Like the plot, like at the end when you get his like grand scheme, I'm like, that's not a bad guy. That's a pretty good bad guy.
it's actually
plot.
it's very Moriarty.
Yeah, like I was like, this is a pretty good bad guy plot.
Yeah.
Like all in all, like I mean everything else, it's like that's the thing is like the little strings there, and that's what I was saying about the Netflix thing. There's a lot that you could do with this,
yeah,
and it has potential.
Yes, I would rather see the story of the graphic novel done, because like, and this is like, so right here I'm like, we're already like beginning off a big separation from the graphic novel and the movie, because like I said, like Meena is the one that's like asked to put up these people together, and we're starting with Quartermain, who's being asked to go visit M essentially, and then Quartermain to then go round up everybody.
Yeah. After his like home in Africa is attacked, it's like his inciting action to like help stop this war because he doesn't want the war trickling into
Africa,
into his home.
Yeah. So like pretty much like after like he gets to talk, and then like his clubhouse gets blown up, and no, it's personal.
Now it's my problem.
It's like, oh my god, there was some when Tom Sawyer is introduced, and he's like the secret agent. He's like, yeah, I've been sent here from America because we're fearing like a world war. And my first thought was like, America don't give a shit at this time. The amount, like how long it took for them to join these goddamn wars because they're like, it's not my problem, is fucking hilarious. So I was like, this is very much pandering to an American audience right now to feel super patriotic. Like, America didn't care at this time, guys. Anywho, so yeah, he goes and this one we're talking about, we see the Freemasons stuff on the doors, so it's very much clear like something's afoot, and like if you're really paying attention. You introduced to M, and he starts to introduce like, throughout history there's been this League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Like, oh, cool. And Nemo gets introduced,
Which
in the
was
scene.
that was an homage to the comics too.
Because is there actually like
There's
that's
multiple.
okay.
Like this is I think like the third league. at this point.
Oh, okay.
Like there have been multiple throughout the years.
Because I mean, the way that I was reading it, it seemed like this was kind of the beginning, and then like we see this like the journey of them all. Because since Mina's immortal, she's living through it, and you see her.
Okay.
Go into because like the later stories of League Extraordinary Gentlemen, you're it's Nemo's granddaughter and Meena.
Okay, maybe I have that
stuff.
backwards then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's multiple leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so Captain Nemo gets introduced with M, and M saying that we need like, and then an Invisible Man gets introduced, and Quartermain's like, "You put one over on me." Like,
well, and it's like, and this is also it really just dialogue, like really just go, why is this person interested in being?
Yeah.
And so it's like Nemo in general is just like against a world war. He's against a mass murder, basically. Skinner wants the cure to being invisible.
mm-hmm.
So this is all very just like in your face dialogue. There's no like alluding to
Like,
anything.
the thing about Captain Nemo's character, he really has like even like that's not even like a Nemo-esque type thing of like not wanting world war. He's exiled himself from the world. He doesn't care what happens to people up there.
But also this rendition of Nemo doesn't really fucking talk.
It's true.
He has just a couple one-liners here and there.
Yeah. Well, he's
Travels on the waves.
He's kind of the gadgets guy,
and
you know.
beneath it, yeah. He's the tech guy.
But he also knows how to fight.
Yeah, he's got all the cool toys though.
And we also get introduced to Meena in this, and then of course that's the whole sexist stuff from Sean Connery. Not surprising, Sean Connery would be a sexist.
Not from what you've told me.
Nope, not from some of the shit he said. Oh boy. And oh my god, this is also one of the most frustrating parts of this entire movie is the inconsistency of the special effects of the Invisible Man.
Yeah. Oh my god, that is the most distracting thing on the face of the planet.
It's so distracting.
So when you like what Jacobs is referring to is that when they're having this conversation, he's naked and he's invisible, but then he puts on his jacket, he's introducing himself, and he takes out this white face paint and he starts painting his face, and it's this cool like
yeah, it actually kind of looks cool.
Just
yeah.
floating face with no eyes and everything that's like talking as he's putting it on so you can see him. And then next scene is them cutting to that fucking dope ass car.
Yeah.
That car is cool. It's Nemo's car, and it's like this big white limo kind of thingy mabob. But as they're walking out, suddenly Skinner, the Invisible Man, is now just completely head to toe.
Well,
not head to toe, but his entire face is now got white paint on it,
and it's clearly not CGI'd, and it's clearly just the actor with just white powder kind of on his face, because you can see the color of his beard through the fucking makeup a little bit. And
Found goes, could they at least make him shave?
Yeah. It's like, Jesus fuck, this is so bad.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It's like oh my god. It's like if someone was like have like half an animated character, and then like the next scene they're a live action person, just like why were they animated last scene and they're not what?
And it's like throughout the movie,
it keeps going back and forth with it.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's not even like where they go, okay, like let's quickly throw a little scene of him putting the makeup back on. It's just suddenly he's professionally put on like all this to really show his face. And I wonder if that was like a budget thing, if like having him
it was probably definitely a budget thing, having
him that kind of invisible the whole time would just have been too expensive. So
probably
like it's cheaper to do it. But it's, I think honestly, like at least from special effects wise, like the most obnoxious thing, because I was even like, I know they maybe not couldn't have done the bandage thing because of the rights, but then just give him something to put on to cover. Give him like a scarf kind of thing that he just puts over his nose right here. Has like a big hat and glasses.
Yeah,
that's it.
No, but they probably wanted
wanted that effect.
Face. They wanted to see his face.
Yeah, but they also wanted to do that thing. You know, they wanted to flex that, but then they just couldn't commit to doing it the whole time for whatever reason.
It's so bad.
So then at this point
let's see, they're going to meet up with Dorian Gray next.
Yeah, so they meet Dorian Gray, and he's all the very like,
I'm not interested. And then imagine that. All of the bad guys, the Germans, are actually in his building. Wow. And they're now turning guns on everybody.
And then Phantom shows up and has this whole bad guy moment. But wait, who's this? One of the bad guys is winking at Quartermain. Could this be a hero? And sure enough, it's Tom Sawyer. Agent Tom Sawyer from America.
And then all of a sudden, they're just like shooting everything. And like Quartermain just magically is having bullets miss him. and then you see Nemo starting his fight and whatnot. You see Meena. Oh, I guess it's afterwards when you see her do her first vampire thing. You get Dorian Gray gets shot up, and then like it's all like ashy and whatnot, and inconsistency with that too. He gets shot up and whatnot, but it's like he has like no blood in him, it looks like. But then when Meena stabs him at the end and he pulls the knife out, he has blood on it. Like, what the fuck? Is he ash or is he blood? What the fuck is his immortality?
Yeah, and he changed his clothes really quick.
Yeah, he does. And this is also like it's when it's Phantom like running away for the escape with this, it is so painful to really just this like character who's so like looks so like ominous, you know, and like terrifying, and all of a sudden run away.
Well, that's like something that too they could have really leaned into. Well, and also this is the second like one you get where one of the bad guys fucks up and calls Phantom James, so like another clue of who we're actually dealing with.
Yeah, but
it's like the fact that like the Phantom is a persona to be intimidating and be like a scapegoat.
Intimidating, that's what I was thinking.
It's like they could have written that better of like, because he's not this big, like, I don't know. I don't know. It was just written in the sack like they didn't really make it clear, and that's like, they didn't allude to the fact that maybe this Phantom isn't really what he seems at any point. So like you said, he is this big, intimidating, kind of like almost brutish looking guy.
Yeah.
But then he's like, and run away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get.
I had a thought, but I lost it.
That's good. So they beat the bad guys. Imagine that. And then Dorian Gray. Oh, first Dorian Gray's like, oh, I'm not interested. Oh, but it just got interesting.
Yeah, like the bloodshed got his blood going or something. Which is kind of fitting actually for Dorian Gray, because of the whole like he's bored of life. So like this is something new and interesting for him to do that he hasn't particularly done. Save the world, sure. Yeah, I've never done that.
And then so Tom Sawyer joins the crew, and we finally see Meena as like
vampire
feast
lady
on somebody, and they're like, okay, that was weird.
Which is also I'm confused about that too.
What?
Meena being a vampire?
She does.
Yeah, but then they kill Dracula and she's cured. Right?
I don't know. I don't fully remember the end of Bram
I think
Stoker's.
that's how it goes down. Like she is turned and is like fighting. That's like one of the struggles in it. She's fighting that vampiric instinct, and then
maybe Dracula's actually not dead.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, and at this point now they need their last member of the League, who is the Brute, the Hulk, which is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the Mr. Hyde always really bugged me because he's like.
No, I mean
but that's how he is in the comic too.
Yeah, I think that was just kind of an Alan Moore. It's like, let's just make it what if Mr. Hyde was actually more of like a brute, change type.
But yeah, he's like a big old gorilla, basically. And they capture him, and they have all this. He's fled. He's now living in Paris, and he's fled England. And his inciting action is, if you help the League stop this, then the Queen will give you amnesty for your crimes, and you can go back to London.
Yeah.
Her sorrow is as rare as a sweet wine. Like, oh my God. Shut the fuck up.
So now that we got the band together,
but the game is on. Sean Connery impressions are really fun to do.
I forget exactly like why why do they end up going to Venice? Oh, that's right. No, they know what they need to do.
So the Phantom's grand scheme is to, there's going to be like a conference with all the world leaders to stop this world war from happening in Venice, a secret conference.
Yeah.
And the Phantom is going to blow up Venice to ignite his world war. He ends up succeeding, which I also thought was really quick. They basically get off the boat and the bombs go off. I was like,
I found it kind of interesting. Their solution to all of the explosions was to make another explosion.
Yeah, so this explosion happens and causes this domino effect where these buildings are toppling on top of each other in Venice, causing everything to fall down and sink into the ocean. And so they decide that they're going to drive to like the center of the domino effect and blow out that building, which will be that domino, which will stop the dominoes. And they do that.
Boom!
Yeah, but this is also like, oh no, be perfect in here? Like a car chase scene. Let's do that. So they do that. And yeah.
And this is
which is also like, okay.
And like, this is really where...
How Tom Sawyer got out of that building before it blew up, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, because that's a fuck... Yeah.
That was quick. That was just editing, too. They just did it too close together, where it's like, it's impossible that he got out of there in time.
It's like, even if he got out of the building in time, he would have been dead from just, like, the explosion.
Like the shrapnel and, like, the building, the pieces of wood. And
yeah.
Because if you blow up a bunch of wood, even if it's just wood, it turns into sharp splinters and impales you.
Yeah, imagine that. So... They offset everything. And this is also like, you kind of like, there's just like little bits that are just like really just like so just like groan worthy, where they're like shooting up people and whatnot. And then like, well, if like it's like Quartermain and Tom Sawyer can't get it, then Meena's like, I guess it's my turn now. It's like, why weren't you doing this from the beginning?
Yeah, there's always that like, what were you waiting for?
Yeah.
In a lot of these kind of movies where like, you would have been very helpful just starting off with this.
Yeah.
It's like we could have skipped all this, these steps.
Fuck. So this is when we get... So, at this point, everybody thinks that the Invisible Man has actually betrayed them, because Jekyll, or Dr. Jekyll's, one of his stuff is missing. There was a powder found in Nemo's thing.
Well, then also it's like they made like Skinner just like he's been like caught lurking around invisible.
Yeah.
Which is also just kind of weird. But then it's also like, I mean...
And he was doing it because he suspected something. He suspected something was afoot.
Yeah.
Afoot.
You're saying that a lot.
I know. But then we get one of the... Like, it's... I like the fact that it's Dorian Gray is the one that has like the turn, and I think that's actually like, it's really cool. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good like twist. Of course it'd be Dorian Gray. But the way that it's just like, oh, Skinner's like, and he's like, it wasn't Skinner, it was actually me, and I shoot Ishmael. It's just like, so like, this was so bad. And like,
so yeah, then we're alluded like the Ishmael isn't dead yet, and he's able to like tell that Dorian Gray is actually the one that's been
it was Dorian Gray
betraying everybody, and they end up finding this like record, and they play it, and it is we talk about the Phantom got his mask knocked off in the struggle.
When did that struggle happen?
Right at that chase scene when they're in the cemetery. That painful chase scene.
That was during then?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So yeah, during that chase scene that Jacob was talking about being so terrible, they're like Quartermain and the Phantom are fighting, and he hits him, and when he falls to the ground,
No, this is during the explosion.
This is right after the explosion. There's another terrible chase scene.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you were talking about the first, first terrible chase scene.
I was just talking about the terrible chase scenes in general. But Quartermain hits him, and his mask comes off, and you see that he's got this weird, like, he's got like prosthetics on, and he pulls it off, and who is it? It's M. He's been behind it the whole time. And then after the whole Venice thing, they're back on the boat, and they get this record. When they play it, it's M telling his evil bad guy monologue.
His master plan, and then you get Dorian Gray's like, and I was a part of it too.
So I sent the wolf in Shape's clothing. Growl. But this whole time too, there's this when you're looking at Dr. Jekyll, he's hearing this kind of wincing noise, and throughout the movie, it's that very like in that Eric Banner Bruce movie. His reflection is Hyde, and Hyde's reflection is Jekyll, and they talk to each other via reflections.
It's like a split personality thing.
Yeah, and Hyde is like freaking out, and he hears this noise. And long story short, this whole monologue where he's explaining about how he's either going to succeed in Venice and start World War III and make all the money from his arms race, or he's also had Dorian on the other side stealing basically pieces of the
everybody's
League
DNA
to make a super army of Mr. Hydes and vampiric assassins and submarines like Captain Nemo's and yada yada yada. So he's basically very Moriarty status.
Yeah,
he is 6 steps ahead. He's like, yeah, even if you beat me in this, I still have this whole other thing I've been doing.
And there's this sound that's been playing in this record the entire time that it's such a high pitch that really only an animal could hear, and it's actually setting off a trigger to all of the explosives that have been left on the Nautilus.
Yeah, and they explain like the triggers are like crystal. And it's so high pitched that it's vibrating the crystal and it sets out the bombs, which also is like, that's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah.
Cool. That's interesting. So there's this big like explosion scene with them underwater and the Nautilus is sinking, and Mr. Hyde comes and saves the day
by like pulling a door or a hatch open underwater to let the water out. I don't know. It didn't make
pump function.
Oh, was it a pump that he was activating?
I think that's what it is. Like a pump for that reason. You pull the pump and then it sucks out
I was very
water.
confused. I was like, why would he open up vents to let more water in?
And then also, I just want to jump back real quick. For you, that scene when Dorian Gray jumps in that little Nautilus, the little escape thing, the little explorer escape pod thing. Yeah. I don't know why, but that cracked me up. I was like, that was pretty fucking cheesy because he gets out and he blows a kiss, and he's really, really annoying, and I really hate it.
Yeah, he's horrible. All right, so and then it's a montage of fixing the Nautilus. Like, gotta work together, guys.
What did I say?
And then
I said the power of friendship fixed the submarine.
And then Quartermain is like, good job, everyone. Good job.
I'm like, you didn't do shit. Get out of here.
And then they start getting a Morse code from Skinner, who has secretly snuck away, snuck onto with Dorian Gray.
He's been following the bad guys, basically.
I think he was following Dorian Gray. I think he knew Dorian Gray was up to no good.
Yeah.
Because especially when Dorian Gray scraped him, he's like, "Hey, you cut me," or whatever.
Better me than him. But then we find out that M's secret lair is on the frozen lakes in Mongolia. So they travel to Mongolia, and this is where the final act happens. And this is also the part that I liked again, because I was just like, popcorn action. Let's save the day,
I was so uninterested at this point,
but
I had to actually keep rewinding it because I was get distracted on my phone. Like, fuck, I missed. I don't want to miss anything, so I was like, fuck.
But so then they split up, the league split up into teams. Like Nemo and his men are gonna help get the hostages. That
Nemo and Hyde help get the prisoners.
Yeah, are gonna help get all the prisoners because M has been collecting scientists to make all these fun little.
Oh yeah, he's been stealing scientists like an evil guy does, like an evil comic book villain.
That was another cool homage to Nemo, though. When Skinner is explaining that the scientists are made to work and the women and children are left to die because that happened to Nemo. His wife and child were kept hostage and they died, and that's one of the reasons he becomes a recluse.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. That's there.
Oh my god! All of the fucking one-liners of other literature in this book in this movie just was driving me fucking bonkers too.
For the fact that you've been saying games afoot this whole time, that's kind of surprising to me. You didn't get a kick out of it. But yeah, so they all split up, and then Quartermain and Sawyer are gonna go after M. Nemo and Hyde after the hostages. Skinner's gonna plant bombs.
Yep, and Meena wants to go get revenge on
Dorian Gray.
Which I'm confused. Did they?
Yes.
Did they have a history before this?
Yeah, but then she also seemed confused that he was an immortal.
Yeah, and then he's talking about his portrait. Like, how the fuck does she not know this yet?
Yeah, but it also it implies that not only because of the betrayal that he just did, but she also has a broken heart from him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I feel like
a lover's quarrel kind of thing.
It was very unclear, messy. I don't think it was very thought through.
It wasn't. That was very not thought through.
Yeah,
because even there's a scene where when they're meeting Gray, they are talking about how they met years ago at a lecture at this college, and then Meena says, "Oh, I'm sure that you were the professor and he was the bright-eyed schoolboy listening to your heroic adventures." And it was quite the opposite. He was a professor. I was the boy. And it's like, how do you not know any of this about also then what is the attraction? I was like, the attraction is he's an immortal, right?
Yeah.
You're both immortals.
Yeah.
That's what I thought would be your core basis for your relationship. But no.
But you're figuring out how he's immortal now? Yeah.
Now.
It just,
and then also he's betrayed the League because M has his portrait. And Dorian Gray, his only weakness is his portrait. Yeah, whether you destroy it or you look at it, or he looks at it.
It's if he ever, if it is just, I think
it's if it's destroyed. Yeah. That's why he always has an underlocking key. And that was weird too. Dorian Gray wouldn't have it hanging on his wall.
I know. It's no, he can't fucking look at it. He in the book, he keeps it locked in the attic with a blanket over it.
Yeah, with a blanket and chained. It's locked away. He wouldn't have it just out for anyone to. It's like being like, Superman and the Fortress of Solitude. All right, so here's the Phantom Quantumizer, and here's a spear of the only thing on the face of the planet that can kill me under no lock and key. Go ahead and touch it if you like.
It's like, here's a spear of kryptonite. I like to pick my toots.
Yeah,
like
live on the edge. You know, it's just like, what? Like, no, he's like, that's.
Yeah. Okay. So Nemo and Nemo and Hyde save everybody, but then like in like a quarrel of some guy like douses himself with all of Hyde's like solution.
Like a lot.
Not the whole thing. And then he's like just a giant creature.
He was actually pretty terrifying looking.
Yeah. No, it was bad. Also, this movie doesn't have the CGI did not hold up in this movie.
No, but I just like he had one really big arm and one like he was a very Resident Evil kind of like creature.
Yeah. Meena goes and like has her fight with Dorian Gray, and they have their stupid bad one-liners back and forth. He like you said, it was like he stabs her in the heart or stabs her in the chest, and he's like, I thought it was what was it? Like I hoped
I get to nail you one more time.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be literally.
And then he pulls the knife out, and lo and behold, she's actually still alive. And then she stabs. This is kind of cool. She stabs through him and then pins it to the wall so he can't pull it out. So he's just stuck there. So she can unveil the portrait and reveal it and make him look at himself.
Well, even like in the vampire lore thing too, like her being stabbed was the only thing keeping her from like. As soon as he pulled it out, I was like, that you should have just left that there, bro. You would have been fine.
And then really bad CGI of him just melting away. It's I didn't think it looked good at all.
No, but I like the Dorian Gray. Like I like the lore of Dorian Gray a lot.
So Moriarty thinks everybody's been dead, and then so like when Quartermain and that's right, Sawyer thinks the Invisible Man's around him, but it's actually another person that's already taken the invisible thing.
Yeah,
so Sawyer's in a battle with an invisible person.
So basically, this whole time in this film, everyone is fighting somebody. So Hyde and Nemo are fighting the big Hyde.
Yeah,
Sawyer's fighting the invisible guy. Quartermain is fighting M. Meena's fighting Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
everybody.
And then our Invisible Man helps intervene with the other Invisible Man, and then like the fucking guy with the flamethrower comes out of nowhere.
Iron Man with a flamethrower.
Yeah, man, this movie's just all over the place.
This scene is like I'm just gonna skip. Let's just get to the end because this scene is just it's basically just a hodgepodge action thing where everything is coming together. The bad guys are winning. I mean, the bad guys seem like they're winning, but they're not. And then in classic story, the good guys win.
Yeah.
And they all have their own little like personal thing, but like
the big personal one is like Moriarty is running away, and there's Sawyer's taking the shot.
This is also the moment that like Quartermain has realized that this is Moriarty, and that's like the big reveal that this James is actually Moriarty. Moriarty is Sherlock Holmes' biggest foe, and in the struggle, Quartermain gets stabbed in the back, and Moriarty is running away to the weird little escape pod thing that we talked about earlier, the little Nautilus thing. And
with everybody, with all the plans, like his secret weapon or the secrets of everybody, pretty much.
Yeah, that he's gonna make his army with, and then Sawyer, like from lessons he learned from Quartermain, is able to shoot him 900 yards away. Just take your time. Take your time. M gets shot, and the case falls into the ocean, sinking to the bottom.
Yeah.
And at this point, the movie's pretty much over. And this movie, also, the end is just like boom, boom, boom. It's over. Quartermain dies. And
he's taken back to Africa to be buried next to his son.
And we have a whole like real quick little funeral scene where everyone's saying goodbye and they like go off into the distance. And
Sawyer leaves that fucking gun on the grave like an idiot.
And then a shaman from the local village in Africa is like doing some kind of ritual, and the clouds come rolling in. That was also really terrible. The clouds come rolling in, and he's doing his thing, and it's zooming in on Quartermain's grave as like the soil is shaking, and it cuts to black.
Yep.
Is he dead? Or did the shaman bring him back?
Well, there was supposed to be a series of like they were supposed to do a sequel in multiple movies,
and that's the way to cook it.
Oh, and that whole thing, like he says earlier on in the movie that they're asked like if he could ever die or something, and he's like
I was blessed by a shaman once. And they said,
well, he doesn't say shaman.
Africa would never let me die.
Does he say shaman?
I don't know.
I think he says witch doctor.
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember like, and then because there's that whole, but you're not in Africa anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that movie.
I enjoyed it.
I don't like it.
So you're giving her a gremlin?
Dude, it's like a fucking wet gremlin to me.
I'm.
It's almost a stripe. Like I think it's.
Oh, come on.
For me, yeah.
Right.
I don't, dude. It's the writing isn't good. The acting is really bad. The special effects don't hold up. I mean, I guess like a little bit of talking. Like there's a little bit more thought. Like I discovered a little bit more thought of like the through line and whatnot. Like Moriarty stuff, a little bit cool. So like, yeah, okay. Like, but I really I don't think it's good. I think it was, yeah.
I was gonna give it Mogwai Seat Night from Midnight only because of what you could do with it, but that's not fair to what this is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a Gremlin because it's like if they were gonna say, hey, we're gonna redo League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as like a series or we're gonna try another franchise, I'd be totally for it. I would look into, okay, who do you got directing it?
Yeah.
Who do we think
who's producing it?
Who's producing? Like, I would look into it, and depending on what those answers were, I would totally be like, yeah, like this is a cool thing to do an Umbrella Academy thing on. Like, there's enough here to make it really cool. And if you made it like a series, you could really focus in on each of the literary things, make it really dark, but you could still make it comic-y, fun and funny. But really, like, because all these are like, Mr. Hyde is a serial killer. Mm-hmm. Meena is a vampire. Dorian Gray is a sociopath. You could really like touch on that, and so that's why I was gonna give it a Mogwai. So like a 5 out of 10. I give it a Gremlin because it's still a fun like popcorn movie. Like you're like the 5-year-old thing. Your 8-year-old kid might totally get a kick out of this. It's a dumb like fun like whatever.
Yeah, I mean I'll settle with a Gremlin because like. I feel like you did redeem, like through our talk, there was some, I found some redemptions in it.
Thank you.
But I don't feel like it's aged well. And I just don't think it was very well written and delivered. Like it just not, I just wasn't, I don't want to watch this again.
No, that's totally fair. And I guess for me too, I liked the look of it. Like I liked the way the car looked, and I liked the costumes, the glamorous wardrobe, and But also that's just who I am. I like visual stuff a lot, and I'll forgive if visually if you keep me a little bit. I'm a child. I'm a child. If you keep me
shiny pretty things.
Yeah, like if you keep me visually entertained, I'm usually like okay.
I mean, I actually recommend a skip on this for me. Like I wouldn't unless you really want to. Like I wouldn't recommend it to people.
I would recommend it to people if you want to see if you want to do like a fun dive into where comic book movies have come from.
Yeah. Yeah, before like any type of history, like history of cinema type thing, sure. But also, I think even a better one would be just watch like X-Men and Blade,
Yeah, but those are like good. If you want to look at the crappy ones, like
okay, watch Daredevil and Hulk.
And this all on par. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there was even a review I meant to actually bring it up. I'm not gonna bring it up now, but they correlated it.
Yeah,
to,
this might be better than Daredevil. That I didn't think about it.
Like Daredevil, Hulk, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Fantastic Four, Ghost Rider, like they're all pretty bad. So it's crazy to see like what it has in our lifetime has evolved into.
Yeah, I guess it's like, let's say if we were teaching a class that's like, the history of like comic book movies, and it would be like, that would be like, I want everyone,
don't do this.
No, it'd be like, this is a list of these movies. For your homework for the weekend, watch you choose which movie you want to watch, and then write your essay on like why it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would recommend watching it. And like I said, it's just a fun, brainless movie, just to kind of like, it's too long, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was everything.
Next week?
Yeah, next week, still with the folklore. We'll see if it fits better than this one did.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing The Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I also remember that movie is also not great, but I definitely think it's better than this.
I think it has more of a coherent story, which is weird to say because the story of it's very... Well, no. Yeah,
the special effects did not do well, if I remember correctly.
No, they don't. I think I remember watching the climax of it on television a few months back.
Yeah.
And it
didn't age well. But
I think
the cast is great.
And I think the story I think it might just be more fun.
And it's like more whimsical and it's magical. As opposed to being like this like steampunk Victorian.
Oh, it wasn't
science.
Steampunk. There's an actual technical term for this. That's It's diesel punk.
Diesel punk.
There's actually I did some look into this because you have cyberpunk, you have diesel punk, you have steampunk. Like there's a bunch of there's a bunch of like blank punk like ideas, and it's just pretty much like an alternate reality of like of outlandishness stuff. So
cool. So yeah, join us next week for our review of the Brothers Grimm.
Bing.
Please like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram if you could, and you're willing to. Please leave a rating on Spotify. That will greatly help us. I think you can only do it via the app on your phone. I don't think you can do it on your desktop. And I always say Spotify too because it's a star system.
I mean, if you're on Apple Podcast, like do it on Apple too because they have the star system and a review thing as well.
Yeah, you don't have to write anything for Spotify. You just go boop.
Oh really?
Yeah, you just hit a star and call it a day.
Word.
So cool. Thanks.
Thank you guys.
I lost my train. No, this is Tommy.
Yeah, this is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape. All right.